that contrast is what inspires me, and I think people can really can relate to it and notice it. I think it's one of the big contrasts people feel between being indoors and being outdoors, and the relief they get from leaving their homes and being outdoors is being in something that's unscripted. One of the defining features of my work is that contrast between the linear and the very rigid form of architecture versus the organic nature of nature and living things. Most of the attention was paid to getting the perspective right, and then put in a couple details, the dogs and the alpaca and the van. But most of this is really perspective work, and then comes the details, and the details come from what happens while I'm here on site. And then I would just do layer by layer by layer, very thinly, subtle variations of color. It was a long process. And then got to work on the tree a bit, maybe some branches down here. I want to have the neighboring house in there, but I want it to be more muted, as if it's fading away in the fog. Maybe there's a layer of fog that kind of separates this one from the background, allows this to jump out a bit. That's a good general rule for backgrounds anyway. You want them to be subtle. Yeah, it's a little dreamscape mashup of this building and the building next to it. Right now, I really like the way the stones are coming out. I just went in with the brush and just plopped some forms down there. It's very simple, but very effective. It catches as if the light is coming down from above. We get the ledges of the rocks illuminated, and then right above we have a little dog sitting here. I see walk around with this dog. They walk together. And this is another dog I've seen a few times. Got an elderly couple here that are still needing some work. A couple French bulldogs are going to be perched up here like gargoyles. Got the alpaca and this dog kind of checking each other out. Right now, just, drawing from my imagination, so I'm not really looking up at anything.
See you tomorrow, man.
I want to get out here one day, kind of early, maybe even at like 10 a.m. and just stay from like 10 to 5. I would just take a few field guides, put them in my bag, go out with my dog to Van Cortlandt Park, spend like 5 hours just studying, hanging out with my dog, throwing a stick, playing fetch, have some water, have some lunch, go back home. I did that for like 1 or 2 years after college. I learned more probably in those 2 years about like the world and nature and ecology and economy and all that than I had from anything I had done before that. People are more likely to stop and check out what I'm doing and talk when there's already somebody else around. It maybe feels like they don't have to fully engage if they don't want to. Maybe they just feel more comfortable by the presence of someone else. When you showed up, there was like a gathering of people here. I feel like it's easy to be part of a crowd. We got an alpaca here. We got some goats up here. Lately, I've been focusing just on this tree. It's basically all I did yesterday. Just working on the branches and the lighting, how the lighting would play off of these rounded forms. Rounded forms twisting around into a helix shape. Then the light is also hitting this other plane behind it, this way. And so that light is going to be reflecting off of this tree. So I have to take that into account, that the light is going to be bouncing from this plane onto this tree, highlighting this side of the tree. Thanks. See you around. I was talking with my brother about how to make this a little more interactive with people. You know, we don't necessarily have to have a conversation, but they can kind of tune in to what I'm doing and stick around for a little bit. And so the idea is to do a little Bob Ross action. He was this guy on WLIW, the big afro. He would paint landscapes. He would talk while he was painting. He would talk about trips he went on, or his pet squirrel, happy little trees, and how to get the color in there, the color he's using. But he would talk about real life things. So I'm thinking to go downtown and work on this idea, apply this to Trump Tower in Manhattan. While I'm out there on the street, just sort of talking about how here we have a uniformed officer beating this black lady in the head with a baton, and this is her blood all over the Black Lives Matter mural that was painted in 2020 by activists who are, just have a dialogue going. Throw a little history into it, have it be educational, funny, silly. Talk about putting maybe, the fireworks that a lot of these protesters are shooting off. It's like have fireworks going off in front of Trump Tower, but make it beautiful at the same time. Show that there's a conflict there, but at the same time make it fun and humorous. Yeah, I don't want Trump to get too much attention here. We don't want him on anyone's mind. So just push him into the background a bit more, put a little blue into him and let the coronavirus stand out a little more. There's the Half Moon overlook right here. Decided to put the Rose of Bonheur in here. Basically, after I had already declared it finished, and just it had to be a tribute to the Bonheur because it was knocked down, demolished to make way for a I don't know how many units, maybe 20-unit apartment building that's going up in its place. The buyer just tore the roof off, saying it was going to be a renovation. Tore the roof off before the winter, and it just snowed into the building, and then he declared it unsalvageable and demolished it. And, the community was in an uproar, but they couldn't stop it. Once I learned more about the Rose of Bonheur, I decided it's got to be in here, it's got to be included. So I just looked at some old photographs and tried to imagine how those features would look from somewhat above, like a three-quarter view. Rose of Bonheur, she was one of the best-known painters in the 19th century. I didn't find this out until later. She was a prolific painter of animals. Portraits of horse shows and pets and dogs and all this, and it just made so much sense to have this building included with all the dogs and alpacas and goats and other things in here. And then this is current events.
Current events.
Current events. Dystopia of 2020. So it's the dystopia and the utopian escape from it. It's good to be done with it, but it's kind of sad to be